This was the 292nd mission to Mars in the year 2151, a routine maintenance mission. A small team of two, Dax and Loire, both base engineers, were traveling in their advanced reusable spaceship, Galaxis 7. The journey from Earth took only 1 month. Humanity had long since colonized Mars. Small colonies ranged in population from 20 to 150 people. More remote outposts, staffed by just a handful of scientists and engineers, relied heavily on specialist helper robots. These robots handled the hard labor, from construction to repairs, even braving the brutal Martian sandstorms. Their destination was Kepler's Edge, a remote outpost near the Martian South Pole. Communication had been lost nearly 2 months ago, likely due to storm damage. Dax and Loire carried the special components to restore the signal and assess the situation. Tom and Robert were stationed at Kepler's Edge, but without communication, no one knew what had happened. As Galaxis 7 made its final approach, Dax, the lead pilot, reported to Earth Central. "This is Dax. Galaxis 7 is about to enter Mars' atmosphere." Loire, the co-pilot, checked the instruments. "All systems are green, ready for landing." The spacecraft entered the Martian atmosphere and landed safely on a barren plain, about 1.5 kilometers from the outpost. They donned their protective suits and stepped outside. Mars was colonized, but its atmosphere remained hostile. Dax took the lead. "All right, we didn't land far. This won't take long." Loire nodded. "We can see the outpost from here." They walked for 20 minutes before reaching the outpost. It was dark. No lights, no power. "Power's off," Dax muttered. "We can't use the keycard. Take out the Titan grip. Let's open this gate." Loire retrieved the Titan grip, a powerful device that could force open heavy doors. Under Dax's supervision, he activated it. Slowly but surely, the gate opened just enough for them to squeeze through. Inside, the hallway was eerily quiet, dark and cold. "We need to find the crew," Dax said. As they moved through the outpost, a mix of living quarters, research labs, and a small workshop, it became clear. The outpost was empty. They sat in the kitchen, puzzled. "Where is the crew? Why is there no power?" Loire asked. Dax exhaled. "First, we restore power. Then we search outside." It took an hour to rewire the systems. Oddly, the crew had deliberately disconnected everything. "Why would they do that?" Loire murmured. With power restored, they stepped outside. Barely visible footprints led toward the nearby cliffs. They followed them for 40 minutes until they spotted a metallic object reflecting sunlight. It was a sand buggy. Nearby, a tunnel led into the cliffside, its entrance lined with fresh tracks. They were mining, Dax wondered. But for what? They entered the tunnel. It was dark and silent. Just as they were about to turn back, a desperate voice called out, "Hey, come here! Hurry!" Dax and Loire froze, then rushed toward the sound. Behind a large rock, they found a terrified man. Dax crouched beside him. "What happened? Are you hurt?" "No," the man whispered, eyes darting. "But you're in danger. We need to leave, now. Do you have a spacecraft?" "Wait, what's your name? What's going on?" Dax pressed. "It's the robot." Robert said. "The robot?" Loire echoed. Robert's voice shook. "The Engineerio A1. It went 295. It killed Tom. Incident 295. An AI unit that lost control and turned against humans." "That's impossible," Dax muttered. "An Engineerio A1. An old engineer bot. We ran diagnostics, and it changed. It shut off power. It's hunting us." A 30-year-old model, those are still running. Apparently, Robert said grimly, and it's smart. Realizing the threat, they hurried back toward the outpost. A sandstorm was brewing, slowing them down. Robert explained that the bot had become self-aware and was likely trying to spread itself through the interuniversal net, a galactic internet connection. By the time they reached the outpost, the storm had passed. The gate had been forced open even wider than before. "It's here," Robert whispered. "I'm not going inside." Dax and Loire entered cautiously. No sign of the robot. In the power room, they found the wires disconnected again. They got to work. Then a scream. They ran outside. Robert lay motionless, his head crushed. Loire backed away. "Oh my, Dax, we need to leave, now." "Not yet, power first. We need to send a distress signal." They rushed back inside. As Dax rewired the last connections, the sound of tank tracks rumbled down the hall. Loire peeked out. A red scanning light passed over the corridor before vanishing. "It's searching for us," Loire whispered. Dax powered up the outpost and sent an emergency 295 incident code to all Martian outposts on Earth. A chilling message appeared on the terminal. "Situation red, leave immediately. This is your final and only warning. Code 0. They aren't sending help, they're nuking this place. They bolted for the exit. Just as they reached the hallway, the robot emerged. A metallic beast on tracks, a single glowing red eye locking onto them. A sharp whine filled the air as its mining laser powered up. Designed for welding and cutting, but now repurposed as a weapon. With a blinding flash, it fired, scorching the metal walls as they threw themselves aside, barely escaping outside. They sprinted toward the mine, where Robert's buggy waited. If they could get far enough before the strike, the robot exited the outpost, scanning for them. They reached the buggy, jumped in, and sped off. As they drove, Loire saw the robot stop, then turn toward the mine. "It knows!" Loire shouted. "It's hiding from the nuke." "We'll report it," Dax said. "For now, we focus on survival." They drove into a canyon for cover. An hour later, a massive explosion shook the ground. The tactical nuke had hit. Safe at last, they signaled for rescue. Within 30 minutes, a Martian rescue craft picked them up. At the next outpost, security officers interrogated them. How many robots were at Kepler's edge? What did it do? Dax and Loire answered as best they could. Then Loire remembered. The robot entered the mine before the blast. It might still be active. The officer hesitated. Then it's buried under rubble, nothing to worry about. The next day, Dax and Loire were flown to a colony and sent back to Earth. During the journey, a military officer questioned them. As they spoke, his communicator crackled. 295 incident, I repeat, 295 incident. Outpost Zeth. The officer's expression darkened. He stood and walked away. Dax and Loire sat in silence. Whatever had happened at Kepler's edge was happening again. They returned home safely. But what happened on Mars became a state secret. They signed agreements. They could never speak of it again. And that is all we know.